man's existence to express his thoughts, time and gross train. His studies are codes belonging to freedom's eventual process, realizing its ontology of completion. Theatricality of noblest kind remains, as might be expected, a prototypal dignity that adverbs many an attitude propelling above the prototypes we even need say to devote vast enumeration laddering up the chain of verticality. Suffixes and prefixes climb from the waters now, ever after beholding to each next host structural waste into solid landscapes, realizing without which state shape conjecturing a form that is framed in definite postures, more so known in relation to the above prototype, proliferating larger and larger and larger punctuated words defined first with the solitary prototype incomplete until specifics characterize traits to an alternate geometry concerning the philosophy through enlarging punctuation, flushing out the above prototype. First, by the few raw materials strangely dividing via dichotomy through a multiplicity that belongs to no geometric sublet that defines the process visually much earlier than shaping its conception into characteristics employing the origins or prototypes to the visual, animate, or sometimes inanimate thematics. When the lion lies down with the lamb could be understood literally, metaphorically, as well as being outside the scope of the previous two, or fleshed out richness. The stereo, I don't know if I've got these pages in the exact order. Let's see. I think I do this. The stereophonics needle in slow descent to a thirstily awaiting groove mat vinyl compilation of elder and newer concertos, the chords of which are archival, flowing river attenuating both chord and interspersed notes in an order, the vast order of itself without any element in a priori negation of what a particular space-time permeates, as well as leaving in negations object-cluttered tracks, the a posteriori mechanisms soluble in weight. In other words, the particularity which belongs inside as well indeed as outside the molecular enrichment, within the composite shades accorded inanimate matter, the colors that coagulate the spilled blood civilities of timeless person, place, or materials molded with fuels that give a particular ontology, engaging the prose posture and object, allowing a more honest scrutiny, alluding over its shoulder to a monolithic of not only matriarchal wisdoms, only she can exact from abstraction and or obscurity. When the matriarchal is not as addressed the finest wordsy wounds, with the given trilogy, briefly encountering the Trinity, not briefly, but seeing both through the eyes of the elucidator, whereas the better self would, standing aside, read in blood-filled vein homogenizing misprocessed milk. There are inabsolutable territorial and transient, as well as never fully photogenically intricacy of analogic, antecedential, and the like, as well as always tried by quiet metallurgic persona, given to an art of not yet to unfold within the emptied hours of the present time of day to hand, immaculate, illustrative in rhetorics enthroned, and last but never least among these threescore and none, in problematically employed rhetorics, enthroned, if that by our own Hegelian completion, is made a sheldrake and sovereign depth of ill-pardoned thoughts. Non-linear and process fossilization, not of antiquity, folklore, expansive yet belonging en route to an applied trademark of particular means, neither inductive nor deductive in synonymous present time, accordance with any rogue ideology. But, as a linguist soundly acoustic, with all of these unimperial logos and arrows, even the two be oppositely engendered. The two might be poles apart in the same womb of literature, momentarily becoming one, a voyage without measure, an untaxed retinue, in ceremonial passing, or a grief or loss that kindles with uncertain waxes, a visionary corrosive, better late than never, cast aside from its syntax, semantics, and similitude, with traits of blaze and character. The whole is never complete without every one of its linear process parts. The whole is never complete without it. The whole is never complete without every one of its linear process parts. The parts completing the whole have gone elsewhere. The gamut has been made. The insulation no longer warms with varied shelter the fullest meaning of the word. Any word or phrase can be taken out of one context and thereby inserted into another substructure, paragraph, chapter, or entire body of extensive work. A preface, introduction, and afterward event. Through the accumulating years to come, and eventual passing onward to newer, as yet undiscovered shares with the commonwealth of whatever ideology pertains lessons learned within the vast closed landscape that isolated commonwealth as a whole measures against previous arts and sciences, as matters of conscience as well as recovered stillness. As every homeland holds up to icicles of shining, stilling light that reaching deeper and yet ever deeper for an archaeology versed in defiant shoemaker subtlety, a threadbare, autonomous, and differential schematic, framed and woven breakfast, agility, and last of all, intricate as much as it is vast, in a labyrinthine literary wealth, seen of lucidities, so be it through and with listening eyes and hearing, as the dreaming train of cross-country narrative now, as before, is a likeness toward the histrionic theatricalities, favors one, and only one definition, although it can express itself through and by differential yet similar simile, metaphor, elements of time and place, having no proximity of codes, maxims, or moral contingents, unpretensing, and bringing forward into vernacular revealing the two, proceeding twin convergence, on the one vital becoming into a reworked prolegomena, prefacing, either branching philosophy regarding systematization's complete body of work, compressed ideas with a broader scope of tendency, the veiled gestalt that watches through the eyes of the past, a post-structural pretense. The structural is just as all other immaterial concepts giving way to present-day philosophy. Well, which will neither disown or reinvent without truncating, which in the final end will be the present day in a deeper shallowness left to wiltering into literary vapors antithetic relationship, disowning each new era with and with actualized its metaphysic birth. I never quite understood why the past, present, and future odds by us. That. Where is it? Oh, jeez. All right, here I am. I never understood why the past, present, and future aren't by us kept just as alive these days as they were anyway, regardless of stamp, letter, envelope, and seaweed. Why do I make such use of the syntax come to translation? And there is a further removal of particular venues, introducing the ontology when 2 or 3 translations need to be made use of. Theatricality. Why I pursue a new philosophy through older eyes, which own the contingent millennia, is a becoming, which as the present cross-section seems to be at odds with its own self. How can identity and idiosyncrasy predicate one another? The first being nothing beyond studied peoples, places, and things. The second being subject to the other's object, as well as vice versa. This is a potential wasteland waiting up the road, as well as a new greatness, if only through political incorrecting. Nothing but incorrection. Correction. No, everything goes. Yes. Just as much as everything. Many material, as well as alike as immaterial concepts are what invests the social structure, therewith the calibrations up a kildic hole. And if in all reality is a compression of chaos into purifying modes of chaos, unveiling what curious frontiers await our future catalog, a literary house of long ago past, framing inside its limits the future novel into ever-expanding themes, discussing endless searches further into the human conscious condition. If love, compassion, empathy, trust, and all else comparable are brought forward as a climactic endgame to their own finest hour, we can make a Thanksgiving on every calendar day. Approach walking at their highest mountain peak, crowned with snows that melt, as would pragmatism get to their own. If all the above were as the 13th unknowable man near the gravesite, elocution exchanging the frame clemency, apart from thee and aside from the 12, paying respects to one of their own. So be it. His coin of anonymity has been pressed, his place among the other 12 non-existent. Surely Joycean outsider, who in actuality is pitched his set in an alternate world, still view the landscape physical proximity with our own. And as well and alike autonomous and with certain respects beholden, as it is in one world view, as it is to the other, reconciling his forward stance. The New World Order with the last approaching of the old and unfalsibility, altruism is much needed impeachment what in the recent past was thought by many just another world view, into which its melodious matrix, too soon for translation to call it a meltonic, especially privileged, veiling inductive much darker inks that exploring much farther acoustics laminating, adds in for reason of ending diamond. as strange geometrics presume. Fleet of foot, the intricacies that eventuality reorder themselves in swiftly projective eddies presupposed into turning away from the rest contracted very rarely into significant in vitro's multitudinous, as they obviously are, although trains travel treks in unison through deference. And so many writings, some of which I'll never find because every move I lost. I lost tons of them in hospitals. Probably 90% of what I wrote passed. Lost. And that's alright because I'm still, what do they call that? Well, there's a word for it when you're still, this age mostly I-I-M for adds on many qualities throughout all of it, he said. And I have many more. Let's see. I wonder who the first Bedard was. First to occupy a town, city, county, state. The first of us Bedard to land must have been a long time ago. My father was going to name me Edmund II. Then they decided to give me my own name. Otherwise, there would have been some other name with the same person. And likewise, for everyone, God bless everyone. Peace, love, and joy. I'm just beginning to get back on my feet. The nice sleep tonight because I feel like I'm crazy.